Let's begin with a question that seems simple but carries enormous weight. Do we have free will? Not just theoretically, I mean, in your real everyday life, are you truly making choices? Or are you mostly reacting? Because we all like to think we're in control, that we're consciously steering the ship. But when you look more closely, you might notice that many of your actions, thoughts, and emotional patterns don't feel like deliberate choices at all. You grab your phone the second you wake up. You say yes when you wanted to say no. You tell yourself that you'll start tomorrow again. These aren't necessarily conscious decisions or patterns, scripts, automatic behaviors that play out with hardly any awareness. And the more we function autopilot, the more we start to wonder, am I really the one choosing? Some scientists suggest that we're not, that everything from what you eat for lunch to who you love is just a domino in a long chain of cause and effect. In biology, in environment, trauma, and culture, creating the illusion of choice. They point to brain scans that show decisions being made milliseconds before we're even aware of them. It's unsettling stuff. And yet, even if that's partly true, something doesn't sit right about a purely deterministic view of human life. If we don't have genuine agency, how do we explain creativity, forgiveness, growth? That moment when someone breaks a destructive cycle and does something radically different than what they were programmed to do. That spark of possibility, that split-second moment of awareness before you react, is where real power lives. That's the doorway to free will. And once you walk through it, life is never quite the same.
And yet, for many people, that doorway feels hard to reach because it's obscured by layers of conditioning, fear, and habits. We fall in what we like to call the hamster wheel of habitual resistance. We do what we've always done, not because it works, but because it's familiar. We stay in jobs that drain us, relationships that shrink us, and routines that numb us, telling ourselves that we have no other choice. But what if the wheel keeps spinning, not because you're trapped, but because you haven't noticed you can step off? We make unconscious choices all the time, not just about what we do, but how we think, what stories we believe, what emotions we feed. And often these choices are so subtle, so embedded, that we don't even recognize them as choices. We confuse routine with fate. But the truth is, even our most persistent struggles can serve a hidden purpose. They might make us feel safe in a chaotic world, they might give us a sense of identity, or shield us from deeper fears. That's not weakness, that's survival. And acknowledging it is not about self-blame, it's about self-awareness. Because once you see a pattern clearly, you can change it. You can choose a new thought, a new direction, a new version of yourself. And that's where your revolution begins, not with a big dramatic transformation, but with a small conscious act that defies against unconscious living. That's what free will really looks like. It's quiet but powerful, unassuming but life-changing.
And if you want to change your life, you must start noticing these moments, the micro choices, the pauses between thoughts, the instinct to repeat an old pattern, and the moment you at the very moment that you decide not to. Because here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. Growth is uncomfortable. Not because it's hard, but because it asks you to step into the unknown. And the unknown doesn't come with guarantees. Your nervous system might scream that you're not ready for your inner critic might whisper that you'll fail. But choosing anyway, that's power. There's nothing more radical than taking ownership of your life. Not just when things are going well, but especially when you aren't. When you feel stuck, overwhelmed, or lost, and say, I'm not handing over the keys to my past, to my fear, or to my programming. I'm choosing what happens next. That's not just a mindset shift. That's a creative act. You become the director of your own inner movie instead of just acting out someone else's script. Your next thought, your next word, your next breath, that is where your power lives. Not in what's already happened, not in what other people did, but in what you do next.
And that's the invitation, the real invitation of this conversation, to wake up, to stop treating your life like a rerun and start seeing it as a blank page. You're not just the result of what's happened to you. You're the result of what you choose to do with what's happened to you. Free will is real, but it requires something of us. Responsibility, awareness, courage. It asks us to stop waiting for permission and start listening to our own inner compass. It asks us to stop outsourcing our power to fate, to family, to fear, to whatever, and to take it back. Because once you realize you're not just reacting, you're choosing, you stop being the victim of your own life. You stop repeating. You start creating. And yes, of course, it can feel overwhelming. Free will can feel like pressure, like suddenly every choice matters. But that's the beautiful part, because it does matter. Not because you're supposed to be perfect, but because you get to be present. You get to participate. You get to evolve. Every time you notice a thought that no longer fits who you're becoming, and you don't buy into it, you're claiming your freedom. Every time you speak truth instead of hiding, act in love instead of fear, or slow down instead of running on autopilot, you're demonstrating your power. And the more you practice that, the more you become the version of yourself who's not just living, but truly alive.
So maybe the better question isn't, do we have free will? Maybe the real question is, are you using it? Because no matter what the philosophers say, no matter what the brain scans show, there is a space inside you where awareness lives. And awareness always holds a choice. Will you keep reacting, or will you choose something new?
If this sparks something in you, if you're ready to start living with intention, not repetition, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Share it with someone who's ready to wake up, and subscribe for more conversations that challenge, empower, and inspire. And if you're already on that path, keep going. Your next choice is your next evolution.
Thanks for being here. Remember, you're not stuff. You're just one conscious decision away from a direction. Until next time, think differently, dream boldly, and create consciously.
I'm a quiet rebel. I don't need a